Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am back with another installment of my state series, which I haven't done in a little while, but this is a series where I am slowly going through and building houses in The Sims, loosely based on all 50 states in the United States, based on a combination of fun facts that I find about each state, a little bit of history, and looking at a lot of Zillow listings to pick out some fun quirks and design choices that I want to include. With that, none of these are going to be 100% accurate and perfect, as it's very hard to try to show off an entire state in one single Sims build, so please keep that in mind going forward. But today we are tackling the state of California, and I was very inspired specifically by San Diego. I've been wanting to tackle California for a while. It's been a highly suggested state to do next every time I do one, and I ask, hey, what state should I do next? California is always mentioned, but I was very conflicted because I wasn't sure which area I wanted to focus on, because California is huge and there's a bunch of different areas that are vastly different. With that, though, I did decide on building a house sort of based on San Diego, as actually the day this is being uploaded, I will be in San Diego, California, as TwitchCon is there this year. And I thought it was a good opportunity for me to finally get around to the California builds. I really hope you will enjoy this one. If you do and you'd like to download it, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will also be in the description down below. And right now, the outside shape of this house has come together, and I'm starting to figure out a little bit of the side yard, as I did want to include a pool on the side here, as this is a warmer climate. The house is really cute and small. It's a one-story house that has 2 bedrooms, and I definitely went a little bit more traditional with the built-in fixtures on the inside, and I just based this house strongly off of a lot of the references I was finding for sale on Zillow. I will say that this is a very expensive place to live, and I was trying so hard to look at some of the more cheaper options available, but they were still ridiculously expensive. I just wanted to build something that felt a little bit more attainable, so like something that was only a couple of bedrooms and on the smaller side. With that, one of the things I always do in these videos is tell you a bunch of information about the state and share some fun facts. So California is the 31st state admitted to the Union on September 9th, 1850. It is a state in the western United States. It borders Oregon to the north, Nevada and Arizona to the east, and shares an international border with Mexico. It is home to approximately 40 million residents, which is more than the entire population of Canada, and the greater Los Angeles and San Francisco Bay areas are the nation's 2nd and 5th most popular urban regions, with Los Angeles being the most populous city and the nation's 2nd most populous city. But despite that, the capital of California is actually Sacramento. I will have some links in the description, by the way, that have some more information about California and San Diego and some fun facts, some history, all of that, if you'd like to read up more on that. But I just write down some of the ones that I found interesting, and I share that in the video. But anyway, the exterior is pretty much complete, other than some last minute landscaping I do towards the end. And I'm working on the floor plan. This took me so long to do. I end up having to cut some of it out because I tried the floor plan so many different times and I just was really unhappy with it. I ended up expanding the back of the house a bit and extending the roof to accommodate it, because there was not enough space in here for me to fit more than 1 bedroom, and having the garage space actually be a garage, not a bedroom. I prefer to do that when possible, and I thought it would be nice to have that as a skill building area. So it did take me a really long time to figure out the floor plan, so not all of it is in here, but a good chunk of it is, and we're just placing down some windows. The windows I'm using here are actually from high school years. They're the ones that are animated, so your Sims can actually like leave through the window. It's for sneaking out for teenagers, but you could use it however you'd like. One of my favorite things in this house I'm actually working on right now, which is the kitchen. It's a very strange shape, and I included diagonal seating, so there is an island piece that makes this a regular shape, and I think it looks really cool. I saw this a lot in reference pictures and like houses for sale, and particularly in this sort of yellowy wood tone that I'm using in the kitchen that's a little bit more traditional. This is just a base game counter set, but I was really happy with how this kitchen came out. Just choosing some tile now. I go back and forth between a few different tile options and also what color I want the actual countertops to be. They started white, now they're this color, and they're going to go back to being white. So I'm just playing around with all of that now and trying to figure out what I think looks best. And then I decided to put a tile in here. This one's actually from Jungle Adventure. I thought it was really pretty and looked a lot like the references I was seeing. And then just playing around with the floor plan a little bit more to get the doorways to the bathroom and to the garage. They're both on a angle. And also one unique thing I did in this house, which isn't something I do very often, but once again saw very commonly in a lot of these houses, was the entrance to the house was actually around the side behind a gate. So that's what I did here. I thought it was really cool and just felt a lot different than a lot of the builds I create. So I was really happy with that. And then we are just decorating the kitchen with a bunch of clutter. So I'm going to get back to some fun facts. California has the most national parks in the US, as there are 9 in the state alone. And it also has the largest economy of any US state with 4 trillion gross state product as of 2024. And with that, it's also the largest sub-national economy in the world, with the largest agricultural output of any state, which is mostly dairy, almonds, and grapes. And with that, California plays a pivotal role in the global supply chain, hauling in about 40% of the goods imported to the US. Though I always thought it was a vegetable, the avocado is the state fruit of California. And San Diego County's Fallbrook, known as the avocado capital of the world, hosts an annual avocado festival. And because of that, I decided to use the new fruit bowl that we got with the Love Struck expansion pack in the kitchen, as I believe it's the only one in the game that has an avocado in it. But we've moved into the living room now, where I am picking out a couch and TV and some toys. I did imagine there were kids living here. I'm excited to show you the kids' bedroom I decorate later on. But I do change some of the colors in here a little bit later, where I decided that the couch was a little bit too beige. It ends up still being brown in the end, but it's a deeper brown later so that the room doesn't feel so bland. So I do end up changing that. I also end up adding some really colorful flowers on the coffee table, but those are things I come back to later after I decorate the dining room, because that just tends to be how I build. I kind of go back and forth quite a bit. Over here, I do have a table. I wanted to put this by the entryway as a place to like throw your keys and stuff. I just have some books and a lamp on here and a little plant as well. And I ended up shoving this table slightly into the wall so that there was more room for your Sims to actually navigate through the space and route. This is that sort of front door area, because I do have a front door that leads you into this little room, and then there's the proper front door. I did this because I really wanted to use this metal door from Love Struck. I saw a lot of these in references, and it doesn't have a glass panel or a screen or anything, and so it didn't make sense as being the front door. So I have it as like kind of a screened in area without using actual screens, but it's like a initial entrance before you go into the main entrance. Anyway, this is the bathroom. It's coming together very quickly here, using the same tile and countertops that I used in the kitchen, and decorating with some flowers and lots of bathroom clutter that just makes sense in this area. I used some leaf paintings in here and this little curtain from For Rent, which I think is really pretty. There's a lot of fun swatches on that curtain. I just used the white one in here as it matched the bathroom pretty well, and getting some toilet paper by the toilet, as well as some bathrobes in here. And that should be pretty much it for this bathroom, and we should be moving on now to the dining space. I feel like this room feels a little bit more new, but that makes sense as it doesn't have built-in features like the kitchen has. So I was able to use a slightly simpler and more, I guess, modern-ish table. It's just very simple lines. I love these chairs, which I think these ones are also from Growing Together. I might be wrong on that, but I think they're really pretty, and I painted the walls in here green and grabbed this really colorful plant, and that's when I decided in the other room that I needed to change the color of the flowers on the coffee table. I do end up keeping the same one, but changing it to a yellow swatch in the end because it just felt so much more vibrant. And this is the swatch of the couch I changed to, and I just changed the color of the side table as well. I just wanted it to feel more cohesive and less bland, so that was the idea in here. or in there, I should say. And then we have a faux fireplace in the dining room, which in the bottom portion of it, I put a painting down there from Lovestruck and a nice mirror up above it. There's a hutch in this room, which I'm going to decorate with all sorts of clutter. I end up also having a spare chair over in the corner and a bunch of artwork on one of the walls. There's sort of a gallery wall in this space. But right now I'm just moving some stuff around. I felt like this corner needed something, so I decided, since I was only imagining that there were 4 Sims living here, that I only needed 4 chairs at the table, and then we could have an extra one in the corner that looks like the one you might grab and pull up to the table if you have company over. And I also grabbed a little stool over here, which I put a couple of books on using the red shelf. I haven't used this in a while. I recently reinstalled it. It's so helpful. It's a piece of custom content that you can use to help you place things more precisely. I don't leave it in the build, so there's no CC in this build, no worries on that. It just helps me to decorate a little bit easier. And then over on this wall is where the gallery wall is going to be. I selected a few of these prints here. I really liked the one with the sun going over the mountains on the top. I think of a lot of sun and water when I think of California, so I liked the idea of that. And then I just got the same chair over in this corner that I have in the living room. I also end up grabbing this chair and putting it in the primary bedroom as well. I kind of imagine they could have bought a few of these chairs together as a bundle deal. I thought that that was kind of cute. But this is going to be the primary bedroom. I'm actually using a bed from Horse Ranch. I just thought it was so perfect with the colors. And it's not one I use that often. And a lot of the homes I was looking at that weren't like freshly renovated had a little bit more traditional of a vibe. They definitely stacked carpets on top of, or rugs on top of carpets. I did see a lot of carpeted bedrooms, which I was actually surprised by because I thought in a lot of warmer climates, tiles were more common. But I saw a lot of carpeting and I was like, you know what? That's something I'm familiar with. Everywhere I've ever lived has been carpeted. So I did include carpet in both of the bedrooms in this house, and I'm just decorating the bedside tables now, and we're going to talk a little bit more about California. As you're probably aware, California is the home of Hollywood, which is the oldest and one of the largest film industries in the world, and it is also home to many of the Native American tribes. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any of these, but this includes the Yuma, Maidu, Pomo, and Hoopa, who all lived in California. Also, San Bernardino County is the largest county in the US with nearly 20,000 square miles of land. And contrasting to that, Alpine County is one of California's smallest counties with 465,030 acres of land, and it's also the smallest in terms of population. But going back to large things, the California redwood tree became the California state tree in 1937, and in California Sequoia State Park, you'll find the world's largest tree by volume named the General Sherman. It is a giant sequoia that is about 52,500 cubic feet by volume and has a circumference at the ground of about 102.6 feet. I'm having trouble even imagining that, and that is something that I've heard from a lot of people that have visited the Sequoia National Park and seen redwood trees, that pictures and video don't do it justice. It's not something you can fully grasp until you see it in person. And funnily enough, I'm actually building this house in The Sims 4 in the world called Sans Sequoia, or Without Sequoia, as there are no redwood trees here. There's actually a stump of one that has been cut down, and apparently it was like the last one in this area, which I think is really interesting for The Sims. So fun fact there. Working on the kids' room now, I was imagining there were 2 children that lived here, and I liked the idea of them being really into animals, maybe really loving going to the zoo. As I had mentioned, I was kind of strongly basing this off of San Diego, and the San Diego Zoo is a huge thing, and I'm actually really excited because I'm probably going there sometime during my trip, and I've never been. I haven't been to a zoo in many years anyway, but it should be kind of fun, and I thought it would be cute to have the Sims really interested in animals and just a bunch of other things. I feel like kids have very diverse interests, so I have all sorts of toys in here and achievements. There's ribbons and trophies and little robots, and I just thought that this room came out super cute. I also combined a couple of bedside tables here together to create this sort of layered effect, and it allowed both of the kids to have a little bit of extra space in that area. And so we're just going to continue decorating this space while I tell you a little bit more of the facts that I gathered about California. You've probably heard the phrase Eureka, which is a Greek word for I have found it, and it's kind of like a cry of happiness when you've achieved something. And actually, Archimedes said this word when he discovered the method of determining the purity of gold, and because of that, in honor of the California Gold Rush, The state later adopted Eureka as its official motto. Shifting gears a little bit here, unfortunately, California experiences on average 100,000 earthquakes a year. Many of them are quite feeble, but that's kind of terrifying to me as somebody that lives on the East Coast that has never experienced an earthquake, and I know it can be really frightening, and because of that, a lot of the architecture in that area is built to withstand those quakes. Moving on to the garage now, I have laundry in here. I also made sure to include a school project that your children could work on. And speaking of this, I talked over it, talking about other facts about California, but I did include some completed school projects in the kids' room, and one of them is a red bridge, which I'm pretty sure is modeled after the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. So I thought that was a fun callback to California as well. But in here, I just have a bunch of regular garage stuff. I have a scouting board. I have some art table stuff for your kids to work on. I have a bunch of storage. And I thought it ended up being pretty cute in the end. I do add some scuffs and tears towards the end to make it feel a little bit dirtier and like a garage, not like a finished room. But I think that it ended up being pretty nice. There's a woodworking table. There's just so much stuff out here. And I feel like garages in The Sims are very helpful areas for all of those skill building items, even though we don't have functional cars in the game. The door I'm actually using for the garage is a door from Snowy Escape. Now we're going to shift gears into some mostly silly fun facts for the most part, and like inventions in California and some San Diego facts. So some inventions include the Barbie doll and the fortune cookie and blue jeans, which were created in San Francisco. California is also the birthplace of the internet. Actually, in 1969, the first, I'm not sure if this is something I'm supposed to spell out or pronounce, but ARPANET, and this message was sent from a UCLA site, and that first message actually just said LO, L-O. It was meant to say the word login, but the system crashed. One of the most interesting facts I read up on when I was doing this research was that California has a interesting phenomena or marvel, which is called watermelon snow, which is found in the Sierra Nevada during the summer. Basically, there's this like pinkish snow that carries the scent and flavor of watermelon, which is apparently due to a microscopic algae that gives the snow a pink hue. I think that sounds fascinating, and I had no idea about that one. Also, apparently California defies gravity, and I mean literally. There are several places in California where gravity just doesn't seem to play the same role as it should. And a good example of that is the Gravity Hills, where there are certain spots that are known to push your car uphill without having to use any power, and while the car is in neutral. And speaking of cars, in 1964, San Francisco's cable cars were named the first moving National Historic Landmark. And they are the only cable cars that are still in operation in any US city today. I mentioned earlier the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, but I thought it was really interesting that it wasn't always so beloved as a tourist attraction, and originally many people thought the design was really ugly. Only got a couple of facts left here, or a little bit more than a couple. I think I have 4. So if you're familiar with the Windows wallpaper from Windows XP of the rolling green hills with the bright blue sky, it was actually taken in Sonoma County in California, and it's actually unedited, which I thought was really fascinating because it's so vibrant. If you're interested in skateboarding, both Shaun White and Tony Hawk hail from San Diego. Also, the first drive-in restaurant in the United States was opened in San Diego by the man who later founded Jack in the Box in 1951. And if you want to make sure you are obeying all of the laws, here are 2 silly rules that are in San Diego. It is illegal to shoot jackrabbits from the back of a streetcar, and there are fines issued for leaving your Christmas lights up past February 2nd. So those are all of the facts that I have to share today, but if you have any fun facts or information you'd like to share about California or any town there or any city there, San Diego, please let me know. I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments, all of your shared ideas, and of course, which state you would like to see me tackle next. I have a couple of ideas. Especially as we are entering into autumn in the Northern Hemisphere, I would like to do some states that have some beautiful autumn leaves. So be on the lookout for that over the next couple of weeks. And we're just finishing up some landscaping. I got some succulents out front. I'm getting this planter off to the side of the build just because it felt a little bit bland over here, and just getting some terrain paint, some overgrown grass, and I also ended up putting an HVAC unit towards the back of the build because I had this empty spot. But with that, I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. Thank you so very much for watching, and thank you to my YouTube members for all of your support. Make sure you check out that link down below and the join button if you'd like to become a member yourself. And with that, enjoy the screenshots, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.